non-bailable warrant in the name of Shri Vijay Mallya. On the basis of that non-bailable warrant, they have requested us to consider initiating steps for the deportation of Shri Vijay Mallya to India to ensure his presence before the lawful authorities to proceed with the investigation against him. We are currently consulting legal experts on the next steps in this particular matter. Smita.
Just to clarify, what happens, is it because he has questioned the suspension of the passport in Supreme Court that you're not going ahead with the revocation at the moment, or?
No, basically they have now written to us that there is a non-bailable warrant issued against Sri Mallya, and on the basis of that non-bailable warrant, that MEA should consider initiating steps for the deportation of Sri Mallya. So the two things will happen separately. I mean, there is the issue of the revocation of his passport, and there is also the issue of his deportation. Srinjoy.
Sir, the CBI is preparing a dossier to reopen the case, the Kim Davy case, and a Danish lawyer is also being appointed. I think that's in the final stages. Can you tell us in more detail what the government really wishes to do and when this process will really start?
Well, the government is committed to bringing back Kim Davy to face justice. There is no doubt about that. Currently, we are in the process of having consultations with the various agencies in this regard. Yeah, Ashish.
Sir, could you please update us on the status of the murder case of Chiku Roberts, what EM yesterday tweeted about, and what is the prima facie investigation report?
Yeah. Well, on 21st April 2016 in Salalah, Oman, a nurse from Kerala, Chiku Robert, was found murdered. Our mission in Muscat has informed us that the Royal Oman Police is currently investigating her death. A Pakistani national, her neighbor and her husband are under detention and are being investigated. The embassy is in touch with the concerned police authorities. Her mortal remains are in a mortuary under the custody of the Royal Oman Police. The mission in Oman will continue to follow up the case with concerned authorities, including the release and transportation of mortal remains after the investigation is completed, as per the wishes of the family.
Okay, that is, of course, a press conference that has Vikas Swaroop speaking on the Vijay Mallya issue. And we were, of course, expecting some sort of response there from the MEA as to what really will be their next step regarding two important matters, which is the revocation of Vijay Mallya's passport and his deportation. And he, in fact, did say that the ED had written to the Ministry of External Affairs. They were wanting them to act on a letter seeking Vijay Mallya's deportation, and with Vijay Mallya failing to respond, the government's deadline, the MEA was supposed to go ahead with the revocation of his passport. In fact, initially the Ministry of External Affairs had asked for an explanation on why his passport should not be impounded. Vikas Swaroop is still speaking. We'll just go back to that press conference and listen it.
As far as I know, most of the MPs, before being MP, they have a personal passport. But when they become MP, they get a diplomatic passport. Does automatically personal passport is cancelled? I think most of the officials also keep
the personal passport is either then kept in the custody of the ministry. As I said, you can have only one passport at a particular point in time. So if that existing passport is cancelled or revoked, then you do not have any other passport at that point in time. That's what I'm saying.
I think, are you sure about it?
Yes.
Most of the people...
You cannot keep two passports. If you have to, then please watch out.
India today carried out an investigation that reveals that Mr. Vijay Mallya also has properties which were undeclared in his affidavits in Parliament so far in the US, in New York especially. Has the ED approached him, because the ED has been scrutinizing these properties? Is it something you can take up at any level?
Please understand, the Ministry of External Affairs is not an investigative agency. ED approaches us in respect of actions that the Ministry of External Affairs can take. We can take actions pertaining to the passport of an individual, because the Passports Act is administered by us. So they have asked us now to take action for the deportation of Mr. Vijay Mallya, for the revocation of his passport, and those two actions are underway. Anirban.
This is about Kirpal Singh. Did you ask Pakistan government to ensure safety of Indian prisoners in its jails?
Yes, through our High Commission in Pakistan, we have asked the government of Pakistan to take all necessary steps for ensuring safety, security and well-being of all Indians in Pakistani custody. And naturally this has been reiterated in light of what has happened with Kirpal Singh. Geeta.
Because you said Mallya has responded. Has he responded to it because he has a deadline?
He has responded
today?
through his lawyer.
What is it that he has? Could you share with us as
No,
to
I'm
what
not at
he
liberty
has?
to share with you.
And does he have a residency permit? Will that change things?
Look, those kinds of issues, as I said, MEA is not the investigative agency. Those questions you should address to the Enforcement Directorate. I can only answer questions pertaining to the domain of the Ministry of External Affairs. Yeah.
Yes, how easy or how difficult it is to get Mr. Mallya back in India? Is it a very cumbersome process?
Please, this is not a forum to debate philosophical questions. Mukesh.
Sir, can I ask two questions? I did not attend last.
Oh, no, this is interesting. Zaka can say he did not attend the last 10, so he has 10 questions then.
Sir, I was given to understand that Nepalese...
Your questions do not get carried forward.
Okay. Nepalese president is visiting India. Can you give some details about this? And secondly, can you restate your policy about Kohinoor and what steps you are taking to bring it back?
On your first question, India shares unique centuries-old civilizational links with Nepal, as you know. Our age-old ties have been constantly nurtured by frequent exchanges of high-level visits. In this context, we look forward to welcoming the President of Nepal, Srimati Vidya Devi Bhandari, next month in India on her first...
Okay, that was the spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs, Vikas Swarup, who was speaking. We'll now get in more perspective from Managing Editor TVTN Rahul Kaval. Rahul, on the issue of ED seeking MEA's assistance to bring back Vijay Mallya, Vikas Swarup, they're emphatically saying that, they are working on this. They're also consulting legal experts and they're only concerned, on two actions, which is revocation of passport and his deportation. But he didn't divulge much, did he?
So I think deportation is one stage later. The first thing that the Ministry of External Affairs and the Indian government seem to be working at is the revocation of Vijay Mallya's passport. In that press conference, Vikas Swarup, our spokesperson, made very clear that at one time a person can have only one passport. So as of now, he doesn't have a passport of any other country, even though he's an NRI. Vijay Mallya has an Indian passport, and therefore if that passport is revoked, then Vijay Mallya will be in deep trouble. That is what the government is pushing for. And given the fact that multiple opportunities have been given to Vijay Mallya to come to India, to answer the questions the banks have for him, to answer the question the Income Tax Department and the Enforcement Directorate have for him, and that's something that Vijay Mallya has refused to do. Therefore, Vijay Mallya now seems to be running out of options. They haven't set a timeline just yet. They haven't explained how quickly they will move. But remember, and Vikas Swarup didn't answer that question fully, it's not very easy to deport somebody. It's not very easy to extradite somebody because there's so many people who are accused of crimes far greater than the crimes that Vijay Mallya is accused of. This is financial malfeasance. There are people who are accused of murder, who are sheltered in the United Kingdom. There are people who are accused of terrorist activities, who found shelter in the United Kingdom. We haven't yet been able to bring them back because remember, in the United Kingdom, you have to first prove that case in the UK, especially if that person has a residency permit. Therefore, it's not going to be easy. Plus, as of now, there is no certainty about where Vijay Mallya is. There are reports that he's been seen in his outhouse in London. There's also reports that he went maybe to South Africa where he owns property, we know. So there is no confirmed sighting, if I could say that, of Vijay Mallya. Okay. And people don't really know where he is, and therefore there isn't a clear timeline just yet about how they intend to bring him back.
All right, Rahul, thanks so much for joining us.
News that is coming in the bulletin. Vijay Mallya has refused to divulge details of overseas assets to the consortium of banks that filed the case against him. Mallya has filed an affidavit.
In a sense, did not reflect the true Indian cultural ethos, did not represent our plurality. But do you believe that Asauddin Owaisi, because he said